Alright, so today we're going to be covering firewalls. On the Linux side it's called IP tables, but before we go into IP tables and a lot of the nitty-gritty of how firewalls work, I want Shay to at least showcase how firewalls are done on the Windows side of things, which is going to be a little on the easier side. Updates are available.
Guess we got an update.
Oh no. Minimize. Okay, great. Alright, Shay, so if you'll take it from here, please.
Now you're gonna steal all our bandwidth.
All of it. Every last
all of it.
bit of it. Never coming back.
I can stay in a few minutes.
Okay. It's gonna bug me. You can't tap the touchpad to click. It's gonna bug me a lot.
Yeah, I was actually sad you can't make that window bigger, but oh well.
Oh wait, this window?
Yeah, why can't I full screen it?
Is that maximized?
Yeah, go ahead and click it. It's just going to put it in the upper left now. Oh well, just probably have full screen to our desktop. But
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, it's based on the resolution of the computer on the other end for some reason.
So how did you get to this window?
So, you open up. I don't know your touchpad commands.
What is up, everybody?
Hi.
Alright, so tell me how do you do that so I don't do it automatically.
You moved your mouse to the edge.
Oh, okay, so I can't move to the edge.
Don't move to the edge.
Gotcha.
So let's
That's
do it
best.
that way.
Yeah, that's best. Got it. Okay. So, you open up Start menu, and then you just search Fire. Now, the key is, again, these are completely different. Windows Firewall, this just lets you turn the whole thing on and off. This actually lets you configure it. So, always go for advanced. That's usually the best, the best course of action. And that will open up this. So, with firewalls, I'm sure everyone knows you have inbound and outbound rules. The way it defaults to is it's going to block anything automatically. And then programs, that's why you see a lot of times the firewall pop up and say, hey, do you want to allow this through? So programs will do that as you go. Like here, when you installed Active Directory, it added all of these rules automatically. Some are not enabled. I don't know why they put them in there if they aren't going to enable them, but
So under most firewalls, you're able to set everything to accept and everything to deny. And you said that by default it's on deny. Is there any way
Yes.
to check in case someone has decided to make it all allow or all accept?
that would be a specific rule. There's no setting for that. You'd add a rule.
There's no global setting.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
It's just the way Windows does it. They're like, hey, if you're not supposed to be getting through, we're not going to let you through.
Okay.
Now, it is extremely easy for things to get added, so you got to check manually, basically. But for instance, if I go to rule, so you have all these. Custom basically just lets you select any of the options from all three. The next is hidden. Okay. I was very confused for a second. So you can do programs, a specific program, or a service. And most of the default ones are services, not programs. But really it doesn't matter. That's nice versus IP tables because, well, do IP tables base it on program or is it only ports?
It's ports.
Okay, so this is nice because it will automatically switch ports if the program changes. So that's nice. Or you can do it by specific ports if you want to. You can go protocol type, you can do whatever you want.
Just show the types.
Yeah, these are all of the types. There's a lot of them. I don't know what most of these mean.
2TP. Wow, I haven't heard that one before. All right.
Yeah, some of these are like this. Why is that even an acronym? 4 letters at the most. Come on. But and then if you select one of these, well, it's just going to do all ports because that's what it wants to do. So apparently you can't change these settings for some reason. But
Once you hit program, yeah. That makes
the
sense.
program basically what it does is it doesn't sense what it's trying to transmit on. It just opens up everything for that program. So, you know, which local IP addresses are on the LAN, I believe, and then, or
Yeah, that makes sense.
well, either that or it's like local host versus like internal on the computer IPs. But,
Oh, okay.
and which remote IP addresses does this apply to?
And are you able to,
in general?
when you say these IP addresses, do the subnetting with like /24 and
I believe so.
60?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yeah. And this is also useful interface types, so you can decide, you know, which types of interfaces it's going to apply to in case you don't want to do it, which is handy. Like if you know your public networks are Wi-Fi, but your private ones are hardwired, that's a good way of doing it because nothing will ever work on Wi-Fi. Allow the connection. I mean, these are pretty standard. IPsec.
Sure. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
based on IPsec. Yes. So it's either block. The only time I use block is if I just want to block everything, even the stuff that's allowed.
And when you're in competition, you should.
You should, but the problem is it overrides everything. So normally, if you want everything blocked, you just delete all the rules and then add new rules in. Because like I said, things are blocked by default. So honestly, that's just there for aesthetic, really. But domain, private, public, these are all pretty standard, and it tells you right here. Best to just leave it for everything, usually, unless you do have a domain or something. But and then you name it and you give it a description, and then you're done. So that's inbound. What just happened? Okay, outbound should be
Inbound, that's coming into.
yes. Mm-hmm. Outbound is what is. This is usually a lot less dangerous, but because it has to be coming from your machine.
But it's already
but,
originated from
yeah, but it's the same steps for either.
But it's useful if there's a program you can't get rid of that's spitting something out on the
Yes.
port. And
Like Minecraft?
Yeah, this was from the lab. Which, notice this one, let's see, Minecraft is allow connection for all programs and all ports on UDP. So it's basically, that's an allow everything rule. So that's one of the ones that you want to look for. Does it tell you in the listing? Remote address any, local port, remote port any. There's a lot of INIs on here by default, but they're based on a program. So it's only for that program, so it's not that dangerous. So it's fine. Except for the top two. For some reason they're any. So, and that's default. So that's a bit weird, but I'm sure there's something to that.
Right, so you can filter based on what's coming in, you can filter on what's going out of your machine.
Yes.
All right.
Inbound and outbound.
Yep.
Connection security rules are for the inbound and outbound. This is for the connection secured spot where it was based on IPsec. This has rules for what it needs to consist of, basically. You know, how it's secured and everything. And this is global for everything.
New connection secure. So this is what to do when you have a new connection?
For connections that are coming in or going,
Right.
if the port is opened, if it's secure, this is the rules that it looks at to check and see.
Okay.
And so you could do custom or any of these, really. These pretty much cover it. Yeah, and so it's going to have the requirements, the auth method, which is only a few of them, actually. Huh. Well, let's see. This is from either domain. So this is the actual username and password, like if they're on the domain or not stuff, not like HTTPS or anything. which is what I thought it was. But and then of course domain, public, and then you name it in description. So monitoring, these are just logs.
Okay, so you can log differently. Okay.
I believe it should be just logs. Yeah. It has it's logs as well as a quick overview of everything. So if you want to go in here and see, okay, does it all look okay? Are there any weird rules? This would be where you'd go and skim through real quick, because it groups them together nicely. But,
Okay.
yeah, that's about it with the Windows firewall.
Now, are you able to, with inbound and outbound, are you able to also block ICMP packets or ICMP? Like ping packets?
I don't know of a way to do that unless
Okay. So it doesn't do the throttle on that. So
I don't think so.
So it needs a different program for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to know what was in there. Okay, great.
Gotcha. And it may just be something I don't know about.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
anything else about Windows Firewall?
So when you're on a competition, and
Yes.
they hand you a Windows machine,
That's
what should
true.
you do?
Delete everything and start over.
Usually, yes.
Delete
Well,
everything.
the key is if you delete everything, you should already know what your services are and what ports they use. Because if you delete everything and then you can't figure out which port one of your competition services uses, then your thing is down for the rest of the competition, unless you want to enable everything. So you're assuming that you can figure it out if you start by deleting them. But if you figure it out first and then delete everything but the ones you need, that's usually the better way of doing it. Or add them back after deleting everything. So.
Is it very common to block, let's say, for like the usual ports and then open up another port that people don't really think about, but is also used for that specific protocol?
That's a good point. It has to be configured on your end and whoever's using that port on the other end. That's the issue with that. Like port 80 or 443, if your web server is on a different port, you'll get not found unless you actually enter the port. So that's why that can work if it's something that you're on both ends. But for like the competition, they're listening on the default port to see if it's up. So that's the problem with that there.
Oh, so you have to leave it on default.
Yes, yeah, that's the problem with it. That's what is best for if you're internal or something, though, for sure.
Cause I saw on like for CentOS they use like some port 5170 something, just some random port other than like 443. So that's why I was asking,
Gotcha.
could we use that if we wanted to?
Yeah.
Because you can configure your program to read and write over any port. Right. So, and yeah, then you just have to make sure everyone knows that it's on that port. That's why, I mean, when you SSH, you don't tell the port, it just goes to 22 because that's the default port. You can still run SSH over any port you want. But those are the defaults, yeah. All right, good. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Shay. Stuff this and then we'll go over to IP tables real quick.
It's me.
I'm gonna go get food.
Not a problem.
I'm gonna check.